Hi class, how we doing? Welcome to chapter 4, Organizing the Sales Effort. And just a quick heads up, this is not an easy chapter. It seems very straightforward, but as you can see, there's going to be 37 PowerPoints here. And this is one of the harder tasks for a sales manager to have to deal with. You know, it's vitally important because when we're talking about a sales force, we're talking about people. People are expensive, both in terms of money, paying them in commissions, but more than anything else, time. You want to be the most efficient you possibly can with your sales force. So there's more than one way to organize the sales force, and we're going to go through a number of these. They have pros and cons, and it's really a function of what's the best fit for your firm, what's the best fit for the industry, what's the best fit for the organization, given all the potential trade-offs. Because there is no one way to do this. There isn't. Broadly speaking, though, we're trying to specialize. Okay, we're trying to be the most efficiently as we possibly can. So it's extremely common for us to think about this in terms of vertical integration. A complete chain of command from sales executive all the way down to subordinates or frontline salespeople. Each subordinate reports to one particular person. So there's a district manager, a regional manager, a director of U.S. sales, and then a VP of sales for the entire company. That kind of thing. Now we could have some kind of a line, this is pretty common too, where we have a VP of sales and then we have some kind of director of training, director of distribution of relations, director of sales promotion. All three of these report to the VP of sales. But what this is not showing is then, okay, where are the salespeople? Because the sales director helps with training, reports to the VP of sales, but doesn't direct the sales force. And maybe this is part of the sales force here, and these guys help here, but there's no arrows going here too, as well. We're trying to have stability. We're trying to have control. It didn't come up in this chapter, but role conflict and role ambiguity are two concepts that we're going to talk about a number of times this semester. Okay, so with role conflict and with role ambiguity, you really want to be as specific as you possibly can as you go further down the line. Obviously, there's a lot of coordination that needs to be taken care of. I want to see some of these structures. Okay, we'll get to them in a second. So we did vertical, then we can talk about horizontal. The upside to vertical is it's pretty specific what you need to get done. The upside to horizontal, it gives you more flexibility, but it also divides selling activities across the sales force. The other upside to horizontal is sometimes horizontal could be cheaper for the company to run, because a lot of times horizontal uses a lot of salespeople that are not internal sales force, but external sales force. So let's talk about external sales forces. Internal is you are an actual employee of the firm. Your salary is paid by the firm. You have benefits paid by the firm. You probably have a company car. They probably reimburse you for your expenses. This is an inside sales force. It is very common in the world to also have an outside sales force. An outside sales force is a company that sells your product, but they are not an employee of your company. They are a manufacturer's representative. They own their own company. They sign a contract with you to sell your product. They don't take ownership or anything like that. They are strictly a sales agent. And these agents are compensated by commission. So to make a long story short, one of my jobs before I went and got my PhD program, I was at an ad agency consulting firm, and one of our largest clients was a water heater manufacturer. Now, this water heater manufacturer is either the third or the fourth largest in the United States, and they had sales of somewhere between $250 to $260 million. It was a big company. But even though the company was that big, they only had 4 regional sales people, a VP of sales, and someone in charge of international. 6 people. All the selling was done by manufacturers' representatives geographically spread out around the United States. And there was probably like 28 of them. And these were companies that had a contract with the water heater manufacturer and said, we will sell your product. You know, we won't take ownership of it. We'll sell it for you, and we want the commission. This is very common. Very, very common. So it's not just economic criteria, but it's really industry structure. I mean, a water heater is not bought all that frequently. So to go into a Home Depot, yeah, there's water heaters there, but you don't need to have a water heater salesperson calling on a Home Depot, and that's the only thing that they do. The upside to the outsourcing scenario is the same outsourcing company. They have a water heater manufacturer, they have a sink manufacturer, they represent a toilet manufacturer, they represent a pipe manufacturer, they represent a faucet company. So when they go into a Home Depot or go into an FW Web or go into some major warehouse of that kind of stuff, well, they're repping a number of lines, not just the water heaters. So they have a better opportunity to continue going back to the same company. They have more things to talk about, basically. The water heater manufacturer only made water heaters. The chapter does do this kind of, independent sales agents. Basically what they're saying is, they cost less than a company sales force. Company sales force tends to stay constant. But independent sales agents are more cost effective when, it depends on volume. You don't have a problem paying independent sales agents if they already sold something. Yeah, here you go. There's the commission. It's not a problem at all. Okay, now let's look at some of these ways to organize a sales force. The simple and perhaps the most common is geographic. It has the lowest costs, mainly because the travel time and expenses are minimized. Admin overhead are kept low because someone's probably working out of their house. You don't have that much, there's not that many issues with specialization of labor. So it'll look something like this. So you'll have an Eastern region sales manager, and then that Eastern region will be broken out into smaller districts. There happen to be 3 of them here. And then you have individual salespeople covering certain geographic zip codes. Eastern region, Western region, districts among all of them, and then you have individual salespeople covering that. Now, although geographic is very common, product is also very common too. The upside is you tend to have salespeople that are incredibly knowledgeable about one particular thing. This is very common within the pharmaceutical industry because, you have to be licensed or pass certain tests for certain drugs. A cancer drug is not the same as, oncology drugs are not the same as like respiratory, which is not the same as, I don't know, think of another disease. So it does allow for better specialization. The downside to it is there could be a lot of duplication of effort. Let's take a look at the chart. So here's a product organization. So here we have a sales manager for product A. We have a sales manager for product B. Well, product B has Eastern and Western. Product A has Eastern and Western. So there's a company salesperson in the Eastern region, and there's districts, and you could have multiple salespeople of the same company. They're working on different products, but in the same region. Now, within pharma, this isn't a hard thing because there is no crossover of products. But in some other companies, if there's too much crossover between product A and product B, this is not going to work. Now, in this era of CRM, where we're talking a lot about aligning ourselves with a particular customer type or a particular type of market organization, it allows for better understanding of needs. The upside is you get certain familiarity with business in the industry. This is more expensive, and this does have a lot more duplication of effort. I mean, take a look at something like this. So we have a general sales manager or some VP of sales. So we have the automobile industry, the truck industry, and the farm and construction equipment industry. Okay, that makes sense. But what if you're Ford, where Ford does this, this, and this? So do you have the same salesperson calling on all these, even though they're in different silos down here, or not? In a lot of these territories, like farm and construction equipment, this is extremely regionalized. I mean, we could pick the states where this is probably a much bigger deal than others. So there is a lot of duplication here. There has to be a strong rationale to why you would want to organize this way. When we look at function, again, we're trying to do more specialization here. We have more matching. We have much more maintenance. We have much more costs. And also, you're pitting salespeople versus salespeople of the same organization. Function's really tough. It's not as hard as Matrix. We'll get to Matrix in a second. Now, telemarketing. It may sound bizarre, but I'm a big fan of telemarketing. Yes, I just said that. Now, just let me be clear. This is not the telemarketing of the people calling your home while you're eating dinner. When a sales text is talking about telemarketing, we're talking about inbound. We're talking about having a sales center. We're talking about, one of your customers, clients, or potential clients being able to call an 800 number and talk to a knowledgeable salesperson. This is not outbound. This is almost all inbound. Okay? A lot of times when we talk about organize our sales force, we can, especially in the CRM philosophy, organize them by major accounts and key accounts. And it could be the case that there's a customer that they're so important that they have their own dedicated person to that company, and that individual takes care of anything that company has and their needs. Now, this bleeds into what we call team selling. Now, sometimes you need functional specialists with relational specialists because the product or service that you're selling is very technical. So you have a salesperson, you have a tech person, but you also have a customer service team that are involved with that. And you could go on a sales call, it could be 5 people from the company. Although one individual might be doing the majority of the pitch, the other people add various contributions to help sell the account. But then after the account becomes a client, they have a team that helps them with regards to customer service, technical support, and all kinds of things along those lines. Here is when we have the concept of a matrix organization. And a matrix organization basically has a salesperson. I wish they had a nice chart to it. A salesperson and a sales manager. And you could have multiple salespeople reporting to multiple different sales managers. So a salesperson might be responsible for a particular product in a particular region for a particular customer, but then there's different sales managers that they have to respond to for each one of those 3 functions. conceptually it sounds great. I've never heard that many positive feedback about matrix organizations out in the field. Lots of role conflict and lots of role ambiguity. Multi-level selling, this is not the pyramid schemes that we know of. This is a sales management book. So usually a sales team, when they go on a call, a lot of times if it's a big potential customer, not just the salesperson will go, the VP of sales will go, or the district regional sales manager will also go. Someone to show how valuable this customer, the more executives you bring in, the more important it looks. Oh my God, look at all these executives they brought in. They must feel that we're special or something. We have co-alliances and marketing alliances. So it could be the case that you develop an alliance with a wholesaler or a retailer. I know in a lot of stores, like say in the retail industry, particularly the high-end department stores, you may walk into a Neiman Marcus and you may go up to the makeup counter, and even though you're in a Neiman Marcus and you're trying to buy makeup, but if you're buying makeup from a particular vendor, that salesperson probably is not employed by Neiman Marcus. They're probably employed by the cosmetic company. What happens is the cosmetic company in Neiman Marcus form this alliance to help generate sales. We are seeing more technological advances, particularly with better CRM systems. Logistics is helping. Computerized order systems is helping. They are convenient. What the book doesn't say that much here, though, is that these are better often for existing clients and not the first time sale or getting a customer to become a client. This span of control, okay, this is really, broadly speaking, something that goes across all the different that we looked at, all these different hierarchies that we looked at. How much, where's my span of control? How much freedom are you going to give the salesperson? It's so much easier for the salesperson if they have a particular task and not multiple tasks, and they have to trade off which one of these are they going to do. How much autonomy does the salesperson have in the sales structure? So, that's the span of control looks at this from the salesperson's perspective, but now if we look at this from the manager's perspective, if we're thinking about a vertical, all right, who has the authority? Where's the authority? Is it only at the VP level, or does much of that get pushed down? Who's in charge of hiring, firing, and all the evaluation? Is it only at the VP level, or is it more at the district level? We have this 6 C's of finding the right rep. This is on page, 112. We talk about compatible lines. When we're thinking about finding the right sales representative, rep means representative. We're hunting for a new salesperson. You have to think, does that salesperson have a background on the products they're going to be selling? Are they compatible with what they're going to be selling? Are they compatible with the geographic area that they're going to be selling in? Are they familiar with the customers in that particular area? Doing a background check. How credible are these representatives? Are they capable? They have a track record? Do they have some kind of references and backgrounds and credits that you can, references basically? Okay? As we wrap up the back end of the chapter, last couple slides, I think we already touched on this. Where does the decision lie? So when we think about managing selling responsibilities, it's often the managers that are coordinating with the salespeople to decide, okay, what accounts we're going to hit, when we're going to hit. Let's stay in this part of the state or the region, this, and hit these clients. And then later in the week, we'll move and hit the ones all up in here. Tends to be some of the managerial, oversight with the salesperson. Hopefully, we have some impact of technology that's helping. Hopefully, we have either social CRM or a nice CRM system where the sales manager can monitor the salesperson's progress without necessarily having to give them a call. He can or she can look within their CRM system to see what the salesperson's been doing, see their plans, see successes, see the number of calls that they've gone on. This one is very challenging. This is towards the back end of the chapter, and here we have the staff organization. So we have the VP or the general manager all the way at the top, recruitment, an analyst, a trainer. They're part of this, but they report to the sales manager. But then we have Eastern and Western, so this is more a geographical setup. But then within this geographical, we have district managers, and then we have salespeople in territories. So this has given us just an example of how you can have a staff organization integrate with a traditional sales organization. And to wrap up, when we're starting a sales force, what's going to determine which one of these forms you take? Well, it depends on your strategy. If you want to be the ultimate customer focused, well, you're going to set yours up around key accounts and customer and not geography. If you want expansion, it depends. You could do more regional. You have to leverage your strengths given what's specific to your firm and what's specific to your industry and what's specific to your product class. It could be the case that you don't need a geographic and you could go with product because there's only so many buyers of locomotive engines. So it's more product oriented, Okay? I thank you for your time. If there's any questions for Chapter 4, I'll be happy to look at them. I'm going to start working on Chapter 5 video.